Welcome to the webinar, Emerging Pharma, Why Digital Platforms Level the Field. My name is Megan Billingsley, and I'll be moderating this event. Today, we'll hear about how the life sciences industry is heading towards a platform approach, offering a distinct opportunity to reach customers without spending years building digital capabilities. Our wonderful speakers will discuss what these platforms do to help strengthen and build analytics and commercial operations for companies at all stages of maturity. We're thrilled to have the following speakers joining us. Ty Curry, a principal based in San Francisco, who leads ZS's emerging pharma practice. Maria Klachko, a principal based in New York, who leads customer engagement products at ZS. And Kapil Nair, a principal based in the Princeton office, who leads data and analytics products at ZS. Thank you all for your time today. We're excited to hear from you. Before we begin, there are some simple housekeeping matters we'd like to go over. At the bottom of your screen, you'll find a few application widgets. These widgets are all resizable and movable, so feel free to move them around to get the most out of your desktop space. Please note the slides will advance automatically throughout the presentation. To enlarge the slides, click the Enlarge Slides button located in the top right-hand corner of your presentation window. Please feel free to submit questions at any time throughout the presentation using the Q&A widget, and it may be answered later via email. Please know we do capture all questions. Well, we have some incredible insights to share during this presentation, so let's get started. Ty, would you like to kick us off?
That sounds great. Thank you very much, Megan. So in my role at ZS, I am fortunate enough to work with many emerging companies, so companies that are approaching first launch or companies that are relatively early in their commercial journeys. And I love the startup energy and mindset, and you can feel the excitement and enthusiasm as you're trying to get your therapies out into the market to patients and make a difference. But at the same time, I see lots of challenges and the difficulties associated with companies at your stage. So whether you are approaching first launch, whether you're developing and preparing for a follow-on asset, whether you are already in market and looking to improve business performance, there are certainly a set of challenges that are unique to companies in this segment. So the first challenge I want to talk about is really, maybe not so unique to emerging companies. This is a challenge that we all face in the biopharma industry, and that is we're operating in a healthcare ecosystem that is continuing to evolve and become more complex all the time. We need to think about the stakeholders in the ecosystem in a more holistic and comprehensive way. It's not enough to just win with HCPs. We need to think about payers. We need to think about organized providers and the patients themselves. We're operating in a world in which there's growing importance of digital health at all times. And of course, the way healthcare is delivered is not a national phenomenon. Things happen differently in different regions or different locations. So we have to bring that into the equation as well. As an emerging company, you are facing some unique challenges in the sense that you don't have a lot of history to work from. So you may have data limitations where there is not a lot out there from which you can build insights. You may have a lack of analytic capability or technology infrastructure and investment. You are certainly budget constrained, at least relative to the deep pockets that we see in some of our counterparts in big pharma. In addition to those challenges, if you're approaching first launch, you're often in a hurry. So you're trying to build an organization while, trying to get that first product to market. And there's a real challenge there as you try to prepare and be ready when the product is approved. If you're an in-market company, you're probably under consistent pressure to improve business performance and live up to some pretty lofty pre-launch expectation. And certainly, you're not going to win by outsending our big pharma counterparts. So you're going to be asked to be quick, be smart, be nimble, outmaneuver the competition. So all of you, I think, have really exciting jobs and really challenging jobs as well. So with that, I'll turn things over to my colleague, Kapil. He's going to talk about how some companies are turning to platform to address many of these challenges.
Thank you, Ty. Now, in order to launch a successful asset for an emerging pharma, What they need is a faster, better, and purposeful solution. Now, what does that mean? Many of the industries are looking at the platforms, but similarly, pharma industry is also looking at the same thing. However, the platform cannot be generic. It needs to be industry specific. It needs to fit within the confines of the emerging pharma, which is what it needs to be fast. It needs to be nimble. It needs to be future ready, purpose built so that not only it can serve your launch needs, but perhaps as you're launching a new indication, a new product, it can grow with you. And also scalable. You will be launching maybe in a new geographical location or new markets, and you might be launching new use cases, new brands. So the platform needs to scale not only to those needs, but also to various geographies with the confines and complications of all the compliance, all of those components that come together, whether it's in Europe or Asia Pacific. It needs to be very flexible. We've seen clients who basically start with just data management, and then all of a sudden they need something for digital. But that needs to happen in weeks and not months or years. It needs to be able to support many different teams, whether it's MSLs or marketing. So the flexibility is key there. Again, the integrated aspect of it is also very important. Many of the emerging pharma has benefit of just having a green field, do not have a lot of the baggage that other big pharma brings in. So it's really important for them to think integrated and bring the value and the insights for the entire organization. The last is the intelligent part. The intelligence comes with a lot of the buzzwords like you've heard in AI, ML, but they're not buzzwords anymore. These components are really making an impact for many of the pharma companies that we see. So platform gives you that ability in a faster way without spending millions of dollars like many other large pharma companies are doing it. But at the same time, it also needs to bring in all the industry-specific knowledge and expertise to you, so you are getting this a jump start and not figuring it out as you go, because you heard earlier, we usually have very small window of time to make an impact, especially if you're launching a big into a big market where you have big pharma around you. So with that, ZS developed our own platform, Zaden. Now, why did we do that? We had products earlier, Javelin, Verso, Revo, but we wanted to bring all of the learnings over 35 years and from this product together in an integrated way to solve specifically pharma-related problems in a much more cohesive and integrated way. We want the clients to be able to take their problems and start with the solution, not in months and years, but use the industry best practices and proven solution to launch them within weeks, and get the modular approach into their ecosystem so they have the application, they have the products that they really need in order to jumpstart their commercial capability. And also, we wanted to make sure that these platforms provide a right size solution. Emerging pharma or some of these companies who are launching this, their needs are very unique and very different from the big pharma that you see. They usually have very few people in the teams. They do not have large budgets, and they want things done faster. But of course, you don't want to compromise the quality and the maturity of the solution. So Zaden brings all of those components together for them and allow them to start with perhaps small, but as you grow, Zaden grows with you and be able to increase value for you. As many more clients are using this, you get the benefit of industry best practices and the learnings and the innovation that we bring to Zaden as part of this endeavor. For one of these clients that we've implemented Zaden, their journey started where they wanted to really start at the ground floor with launching a first product and then move forward from it. And they started with the foundation, which was data analytics. We've made sure that they have a strong foundation with the master data management, their data warehouse, as well as the reporting to really jumpstart their launch capabilities. Once that happened, they were able to get all of the performance, understand what's happening within the organization, and be able to understand their customers better. From there onwards, they actually got into the incentives to make sure that they were using our field performance to start making sure the incentives and the commercial operations were starting to work well. As a matter of fact, right now, we are post-launch, and we are working with them to put together a plan for the omni-channel. As part of this, we will be starting with the suggestions, and then from there onwards, there will be omni-channel, next best action, et cetera, that would get launched as part of the platform. So if you look at it, their journey started, and by the time they had the foundation already set up where they had all the data and the reports coming, around 12 weeks, we get all of that done. And from there onwards, their data to insight journey was just starting right away without really spending too much of upfront money. And what the impact was, I believe they had around 85% adoption rate right out of the gate. And in a few months now, they're still hovering around 80% or even touching a little bit higher. And in order for them to be able to do this, their change management and all of that was very seamless because the applications are proven and they've been worked with many customers before. So the field felt so comfortable with all of the components that they saw. From now onwards, they're also thinking about how do they make these automation part of the entire ecosystem where everything is working in a harmony and the folks are spending more time around bringing insights versus worried about how do we connect the data together. And one of the key goals that they're driving towards is insight-driven organization, and they've been using this platform to truly make that impact. Now, I've been talking about Zayden quite a bit. I'm going to ask my colleague Maria to double-click a little bit and tell you a little bit more about it. So Maria, over to you.
Thank you, Kapil. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about what is the platform, what should be in an analytical platform, and why we believe that this is something that is specifically beneficial for small and emerging companies. We believe, and Ty touched on that there are a lot of heavily analytical processes, data and analytics that really power every pharma company. And large companies have invested 10s, 20 years and many millions of dollars in perfecting these algorithms and these data usages and these highly analytical processes. And yet the smaller companies that launch now need to have the same sophistication in order to compete with them. If you are coming out with the launch of a product and one of your competitors or multiple of your competitors are large pharmas, you know that they use all the analytical prowess to outrun you. And they use market mix and resource allocation and very ongoing suggestions and field deployment in order to be the most optimal and the most impactful and to reach every doctor where they are. So the question is, how can you compete when you have only so many months to launch and so many people and so much money? And that's where platform comes together. Platform can be the industry learning all accumulated and deployed to you as a software and service where you get access to the most advanced and sophisticated algorithms, processes, applications, data management techniques. Starting with data management and analytics, like Kapil said, you need to bring data together. Data is fragmented. You need to master this data and tie the customer 360. How How can you do that if not to bring a solution that can jumpstart you and do that right away, that has all the connectors to all the data, that knows how to deal with the data, and that already brings you this data and reports right away? And that's what a lot of the clients that we will look at, that's what they start with. And then once you get the data together and you have a sufficient number of reports for your headquarters and your field, the next set of processes is the field performance, right? So how do you deploy the field? Where do they go? Who are the targets? How do you pay them? That's another set of very heavily analytical processes. And by deploying a platform, you can very quickly stand up those processes with all the required data learning and sophistication. And the customer engagement is another set of tools and approaches. How do you engage your customers? Today, there is a number of channels. Some of them are personal channels, some of them are digital channels. So any individual doctor goes through their individual journey and connects to your field, connects to your digital channels. How do you enable your field to guide that doctor to a decision making or to guide his patients to decision making? How do you help to reinforce it with a very well orchestrated digital channel? Again, it would be impossible to stand up those processes and analytics and solutions very quickly in time that you need to launch. Big companies spend millions doing it. But using a platform, you can implement modularly, like Kapil said. You can implement the small pieces of it that you need and then grow and advance as you need to enhance and compete and incorporate other data in it. There are other analytical processes within companies, clinical, patient services, maybe supply chain. So a good analytical platform is really a set of apps, algorithms, and models on top of the data and connectors that is connected to all your other ecosystem that can solve all these problems for you very quickly, very automatically, and very in agile way, so that you can also move with the market. And the best piece of a platform that you need to look for is the industry learning, right? So what we're talking about is the 30 years of deployment algorithms, the 20 years of targeting algorithms, the 10 years of customer engagement algorithms, all have to come to you in a platform. That's a broad industry learning where you can deploy the best of the industry very quickly. The platform is good because it learns with every user, with every client, and it expands the proprietary data, the algorithms. It also enables you to mix your algorithms with standard algorithms. So for example, when you when you set up your data science team, for example, and you are now ready to deploy your own very specific intellectual property and algorithms, you can pick and choose which ones are okay being standard and which ones need to be your specific and very tailored for your company. So this ability to mix the data, to mix the learnings, to deploy the learnings from other companies to your situation, to deploy the data from other companies to your model training and to your situation, that's what the best in the platform. When you grow with the platform, you know that you grow with the best of the industry, and you really can master any needed capabilities very quickly, and then add your own experts, thinkers, and doers as you can and as you need them, scale globally with confidence, and while keeping and growing, stay lean and agile to be with the market. So with that, I'm going to turn back to Megan and to any of the questions that you guys might have.
Excellent. Thank you, Maria. This was such a helpful discussion. We are nearing the end of our time here today, but before we go, our audience has submitted a few questions for our speakers. So kicking off with the first one, it says, as an emerging pharma company, how do I start with a platform approach?
Okay, I can take that. So it depends. Now, if you're starting a journey or perhaps want to transform your existing capability, so it depends where you want to start with. In the first situation, when you're just starting up your journey, we've seen it start at the data analytics foundation. This will allow you to build certain components and capabilities that will become a launchpad for many of the things that are coming afterwards, and create one single source of truth for your organization. You can start looking at reports and analytics to track performance, and also perhaps increase the understanding of how you are interacting with your customers. Now, if you already have some capabilities and you want to augment your ecosystem, you can use the platform to jumpstart those new capabilities that you want. So, for example, if you want to enhance your customer engagement, or you want to improve your field execution using your own data ecosystem. But as you're running your business analytics, like NBA or next best action, which or patient or HCP event prediction, some of those things are becoming very important, because we're starting to see those are important for the big pharma are using these techniques to sort of compete and support their launch. So those components can also be introduced as an add-on within your own ecosystem. And essentially, platform lets you do this with the industry best practices and already proven things. So you don't have to invest in something and worry that, is it really going to work, or should I have to start it from ground up? How would that even work within weeks or months, right? So that's the benefit we see with the platform approach, and that's how I would answer that question, depending upon where you start from.
Excellent, thank you. Our next question says, can you explain how this platform would enable operations teams?
Thank you, Megan. I'll take that question. Starting with the data foundation and then expanding into field alignment, segmentation, targeting, and other processes, the platform helps the operations teams to focus on the decision-making and on strategy, rather than minute details of what they have to do and how it all will have to come together. We've seen a lot of these small and emerging companies being buried in spreadsheets where the decision is clear, but figuring it out, how to put it all together, send it to the right people, collect all this data, ensure that it happens, nobody is confused, is a big deal. And that's a precise thing that you shouldn't spend any time on. The platform helps you to see what needs to be done, to make that decision, to maybe pressure test it, what the outcome of that would be, and then put it into operations. And once you put it into operations, the platform should help you to execute it. So it should send the suggestions to the field, or it should send the supporting digital channels interactions, or it should alert you when something is out of balance in alignment, and even suggest what needs to happen and let you to press button and say done, right? So that's how the good platform helps operations team. It takes the minutia out and it makes you to focus on decision.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Our next question says, can emerging pharma afford these solutions?
Let me jump in on that one. So, not surprisingly, my response is going to be yes, for sure. I think platforms can be a very affordable and economic solution for emerging pharma for a few reasons. I think number one, if building off the points Kapil made a little while ago, if you are starting from scratch and you don't have an existing technology and analytics infrastructure, you can take advantage of platform as a service and avoid a lot of those upfront investments in technology and infrastructure. I think, secondly, that the beauty of a platform is it lets you add what you want when you want it. So you can start with those features and those elements that are critical to the business at the time, and then add to it over time in a way that is very affordable and aligns with where you are on your journey. And I think a third thing is that if you already have a data environment in play, a good platform is going to connect well with that environment so that you can build off of it as opposed to having to scrap it and start from scratch. So to me, those are some big reasons why, for sure, emerging companies can in fact afford a platform solution.
And to add to that, platform solutions are less dependent on kind of variable consulting labor. And so they can scale down to the smallest user bases and smallest doctor universes and make it really affordable. So the more automated it is, the easier it is to deploy small.
Excellent. Thank you both so much. Our next question simply asks, what data is needed?
I'll take that one, Megan. So once again, it depends. It depends on what therapeutic area you are in or what use cases you're trying to solve with the platform. You can actually do a lot with just basic CRM. You get your HCP universe and accounts, sales, and any internal data you have, like alignment, roster, et cetera. Quite a bit of insights can be generated out of that. However, you can make this even better if you, let's say, add marketing or market access data or any digital data that you have from your agencies or any other partners that you're working with. We also see quite a bit of patient-centric data coming into play and adding a huge value, especially in areas where it's specialty or oncology or rare disease areas. Where you can do patient identification or perhaps switch predictions, et cetera, or look at the various patient journey components. So that's been common. However, having said that, I have to say the biggest challenge that I see personally with working with many emerging pharma companies, it's not that they don't have the data. They have plenty data available to them. But there is a lack of know-how or perhaps the infrastructure or components for them to bring it all together, integrate it, and be able to generate insights from this data. We still see a lot of this is scattered within some individual teams, or there's on spreadsheets or some PowerPoints, but that's not getting you the insights that you're looking for. So the focus should be more on insight generation, bringing data together. And last but not least, what do you do when the insight is there? The organization needs to also think through that. How do we turn an insight into an action? So those are some of the challenges we see mostly with the companies. More what to do with the data, how to bring it together, generate insight, and then turn it into action.
Yeah, Kapil, I completely agree with you. One of the things that I see in companies approaching first launch or even shortly after launch is that there is a huge opportunity to understand the market through patient claims data. I can look at patient characteristics. I can roll those up to HCPs. I can understand the payer dynamics associated with them. But those data sets are challenging data sets to manage and work with. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits of having a platform type of approach where you get that foundational data management so that you can take advantage of and draw the insights out of those available data sets.
Absolutely. I couldn't say it better.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Our next question says, what should my commercial planning and execution team do to prepare for implementing a platform approach?
I'll throw in one thought there, and maybe my colleagues can jump in as well. But I think when it comes to commercial execution, one of the things that you need to do is instill a mindset of openness to the insights that come out of these kinds of analytical approaches and a willingness, to Kapil's point, to take action on those insights. And I think that's really a big driver. We get so much richness, so many great suggestions, so many next best actions. But the organization, particularly the execution part of the organization, really needs to have that mindset where they're willing to jump in and take action associated with those insights.
To add to that, and I agree that analytics mindset is paramount for the company. But additionally, adopting the insights requires certain trust in the system, right? And that trust builds over time. So it's important that when the systems are built, right, the company is very purposeful about teaching the reps and the headquarters about the data and the specific insights that are being used, gradually building up to more and more and more sophisticated insights, and sharing throughout the company the successes and the challenges. And the challenges help to fix things, and successes help to instill, things and make other people willing to try. We've deployed, some of our very advanced analytics in one of companies, and they had a chat channel for the reps of exchanging of what works and what doesn't work. And of course, we were all looking very closely to that. So when something wasn't working, it was reviewed and potentially fixed, or at least explained. But there were also some other comments such as, wow, I would have never went to that doctor, but the system said he's likely to write, and I went there and he started immediately. So those kind of testimonials instill the trust. And just like we all learn to drive with Waze or Google Maps, right? Many don't remember how it was, but we didn't trust it in the first, but now we all know that it's going to drive much better than we would by ourselves. So that's kind of the journey that we need to help our teams to create.
I'll also add something to it now. One of the things I've always advised them is that keep things simple. Don't overcomplicate. Leverage things that are out of the box from these platforms as much as you can. Because let's face it, when the launch happens, you launch a product, within the first 6 months, things will rapidly evolve, and you would have to evolve things with it. So don't worry about that. I want to see this. I had this in my previous organization. Take what comes out of the box and start somewhere, and not worry about perfection. So that's what internally.
Very well stated from all of you. Thank you so much for that. That is all the time that we have today. Thank you to our speakers for sharing your expertise with us, and of course to our audience for joining us. As a reminder, today's presentation will be available on demand, and a link will be sent to you after the webinar. Have a great day, everyone.